Though I do
What
like that logo you made for the Drunken Dice podcast. I will give
is
you that
nice?
one. I do like that one. That's good.
You know what font it is?
It's not Comic Sans.
Mm-mm.
All I can think of when you do it, so it's just about fonts. I'm like, Comic Sans.
It's not Impact.
No.
Uh,
And
uh,
it went from
is it
Sans.
a Star Trek one? But
It
like
is
more.
not a Star Trek one.
Okay. What is it? Just tell us.
Back to the Future.
Okay. I see.
Okay, makes sense.
Well, welcome back to another podcast.
Yep. Welcome back to the next episode of the Drunken Dice podcast. We are only partway there and not completely drunk. I today am drinking a lovely old fashioned. With my usual recipe with that is bourbon, a pinch of brown sugar, and a couple dashes of bitters. Occasionally, I'll muddle the sugar in an orange, but I didn't have an orange today, so I just went simple.
Solid. If you watched the last Drinks with DM, you know what this is because I'm drinking that drink. Wonderful daiquiri. Super easy. Ounce and a half of lime. Or no, ounce and a half of rum, ounce of lime,
An
half
ounce
an
and a
ounce.
half of lime. Oh God, made
It's
a
an ounce of
warhead.
lime. But then half an ounce of simple syrup, which actually gets rid of the tartness of the lime. It's just lovely. Lovely drink.
And
And pe-
I've got Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey. Neat.
I
Nothing.
need some more of that.
Nothing
I
amazing.
need some. I
That's
need some more Tullamore Dew. I like Tullamore Dew is a good Irish whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because I know Nathaniel will be over at some point again, and I know he like of all the things I had, that's the one he picked out. Like he killed my bottle. I didn't have much left, but he killed my bottle when he was visiting. So
Nice.
I want to
As,
have some
as
here for
barbarians do.
him.
Yeah. This is pretty solid.
That was a fun day when he just called, said, "Hey, I'm available. Can you hang out for a few hours?" And I'm like, "Yes, I can. Let's make this happen. I will order us pizza, and you get to see the house." I forgot Nathaniel's been in the house, so it's only Peter now who hasn't been in it.
Yep.
Yep. Because he got the COVID.
Yep, because he got the COVID.
Yep. I
But this
had the COVID.
but this one will be better because we'll have the basement completely decked out, and it's gonna
Pool
be
table.
awesome. Yeah, pool table. I should have my awesome putting green in there. Hopefully the bar will be set up by then, but maybe. That's because how many more lessons I can sell. That
So if
will
you need
decide
golf
that.
lessons, you're in Kentucky, call that guy. If
Better
you
and
want to pay,
cheaper than most people in Lexington, so get it.
I was going to let you disclose the exact location in Kentucky. Because I was like, I don't know if he wants me to say that. Yeah.
I think most people who listen to this know where where
We
I'm
have
at.
97 subscribers. Okay. Like, that is 95 people who know where you live and four that don't. No, three.
Lexington,
I don't know. Two. It's not a lot of people.
Lexington is big. I have a security system on my house, and I'm a former Marine. It would be stupid to come after me.
True.
You'll hear a very scary sound if you break in. Uh,
Well, this turned out in a very fun start.
we're
Jim?
threatening anyone who threatens to come into your house and
I
invite
have
it.
I have a child, so yes, I will be very protective of my family. Yes. So today we're just kind of talking about random stuff as we normally do. Jim has some more crazy homebrew stuff that he has found over this past week. He's disclosed some of it, and now I have thoughts on the subject. And we will be going over character creation for the Star Wars Fantasy Flight series. Specifically, we are going to be doing Edge of the Empire. We There is three books: Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force and Destiny. But I don't want to get into the Jedi classes and powers right now because that gets kind of crazy. So we'll stick with the main Edge of the Empire game.
That's fair. Plus, the Jedi classes act pretty much the same as other classes,
They do.
and leveling up is all the same in that, so it's not a huge.
But that's a lot of the things I just don't want to go into. And have the fun of being it. Like it's always fun being a Jedi and a lot of stuff, but it is very fun just being part of the normal people. in
Yeah.
that too.
Being a Wookiee with a gaffy stick, murdering people.
I miss
Yep.
being an assassin droid who likes to collect the name tags of the people he kills.
And having
And,
your Wookiee friend help.
and I've noticed that every time I've tried to play this game, I'm always a droid. I've I've never even considered playing something else. I'm always a droid.
And
I
I'm always a
wonder
Wookiee.
why.
What does that mean?
What?
No. What? What do you? Yeah, Peter. What does that mean?
One of
Tell
your
us, Peter.
favorite characters from Knights of the Old Republic. That's what that means.
That's actually fair.
I mean, my background is Revan right now, so I guess I can't
Precisely.
say much about that. So fine.
Yeah. That's fair. Totally fair. So let's get into some of this homebrew stuff. So the first few things are from a list of rules this person made for a new campaign to make their campaign harder. Not going through all the rules because some of them are just way too in depth, and you actually have to like learn some things and figure some shit out. And I'm like, no, that's stupid. So let's first talk about their meaningful downs. So you reach 0 hit points, you go down as always, but now you also gain a level of exhaustion. Once you start making death saving throws, if you roll a 5 or under, you gain another level of exhaustion. And on the positive, if you're down primarily by blunt objects, you're automatically stabilized. Because apparently in this game, blunt objects are very hard to kill someone with.
I have thought about this since you've told me.
Yeah.
The blunt objects things are just dumb.
Yes.
Maces, warhammers, legitimate battlefield arms designed to kill people with blunt force trauma.
Also, getting bonked in the head can literally just kill someone even just from a sucker punch.
Mm-hmm. That's why car accidents can be fatal. It's not piercing damage generally that kills them.
It's bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, it's blunt stuff. So.
The IEDs in war zones. Most people died from going up and breaking their neck from the top of the vehicle they hit rather than the actual blast.
Yeah.
So blunt force damage is an actual terrible thing. Don't believe Hollywood that you can get crushed by something in the head and wake up a few minutes later unscathed. Your skull's caved in and you're probably dying.
Yeah.
The whole exhaustion thing. I've been thinking about it since you first told me.
Mm-hmm.
I would be open to some sort of variant that if it was you were down so many times in a certain time that you would get a level of exhaustion, but not every time you get down and up, because this is a world where magic exists, and I would be more open to it if you wanted for the one if you got stabilized via non-magical means by like a medicine kit. You'd be exhausted, but if you were upped by magic, I feel like that takes over some of the other stuff. Just trying to put my own logic into this, trying to put opinions on it.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, yeah, that makes sense. As like a change to it. What I think the at least with like just gaining a level of exhaustion, I think it's meant to like get players to really think about going into combat before they do, because there's not as much of a like, well, if I go down, the healer's just gonna cast a healing word, I'm gonna get up, and if we need to, we can run away later. Like, well,
that's fair.
Maybe you don't really want to do that, or you just get overtaken by something, someone goes down, you don't want to just keep like trying to plow through and letting that person like go down, heal, go down, heal, go down, heal, because like there's risk to that 6 times and you're dead.
Yeah.
So I think the death saves under 5 adds another level of exhaustion. I think that's dumb.
Yeah, I just doing something like that to the luck of the dice, especially since there's already enough going on, and player character death is already such a big deal as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to talk with your. This is one where communication between the DM and the players are really big, because it's what type of campaign are you going into?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, someone agreeing to these rules, they want a harder campaign, then just know that this campaign will be harder. People will be going down, and monsters will target down people to kill them outright.
Right.
And that's just the logic of, because at the end of the day, the DM controls the logic of the universe. Even though you're playing D&D, it is still through the lens of your dungeon master that this happens. So if your world is just slightly bent, the logic rules are bent, yes, this monster could have an intelligence of 2, but everything in that still wants to kill things and not just let them be knocked out. So we could go that they would coup de grace finishing blows on people,
Yeah.
and that's still okay.
Also, like wild animals
They start
might
eating.
not have the forethought to then move on to another living target
Mm-hmm.
and attack them and just be like, well, I killed the thing. I'm going to drag it away and start eating it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's totally reasonable that you would do something like that as opposed to some of these like, especially the death saves under 5, like, and adding another level of exhaustion. Like, you get 3 of those anyway. The person's dead, so like
Yeah.
you don't need to add more risk to that. If they rolled below 10, like you're already worried because that person might die.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I mean, and then obviously automatic stabilization from blended objects is stupid.
That's dumb.
That's dumb.
It's one of those, if you want like a more difficult campaign, talk with it with your players and your DM and make encounters harder. You can do things without having to change the core rule book on there. Like I'll get into later, I've played under a system that's had this. And it's one of those, I liked the idea, but there's also ways that it's not always going to be that way. There's a
Right.
whole lot of stuff that can go into it. We'll get into it later, but I feel like there's just a lack of communication, and this DM wants to punish players.
Yeah. Except honestly, I think that whole like automatic stabilization from blunt weapons is like I've made this too hard. So instead of fixing what he made too hard, he's just like, but here's an easy way out. I'm gonna throw some blunt weapon like enemies at you, and you'll just be stabilized. That's fine.
Oh no, he used a mace instead of a sword. Literally nothing changes other than the weapon type.
Yeah. So I feel like that was kind of an out for him. Instead of fixing rules he knows is going to cause issues, he just added another rule to fix a problem that he caused by adding a rule.
Yeah, okay. And let's say one of those, if you do want to change something like that, kind of like make it the magic component part of it. D&D is full of magic. There's a whole lot of stuff you can do with it. Let's go with it that way. Not
Yeah. It's the next one of this. So say you die. Reviving got easier? Maybe? I don't know. So any caster, any spellcaster can try to revive you, because reviving someone happens by pleading with the soul or whatever force of nature comes to retrieve the soul. So I assume like a Grim Reaper type of thing. Um, and if to do this, I'm assuming it's like a persuasion check because they didn't really say. But that if you're pleading, that's what I would assume it is.
Yeah.
Each caster is limited to their spellcasting modifier -1 revive attempts per day. However, if a revive attempt fails, that soul is gone, and the dead can no longer be brought back by any simple means. I would assume then you need resurrection, revivify, true resurrection, reincarnation, something like that.
yeah. Something. I feel this could be a fun little quest line. Like there's now a Grim Reaper. Something happened, now there's kind of a Grim Reaper following around, or you're in a different plane of existence where these are the rules. But to do it in the normal Forgotten Realms, Sword Coast, wherever you are, seems odd.
Yeah. One fact that any spellcaster just like revives.
That's
like,
also odd too.
what?
Yeah.
What is this?
There's
Especially
spells
because like
specifically for it.
right. Which
Or like
Assuming-
the medicine kit with specific proficiencies and skills and stuff.
Right.
That's getting up, not
that's
reviving.
stabilization.
Oh,
Not,
right,
this is
yeah.
like they've failed their
This
three
is
death saving
revivify
throws.
resurrection.
Yeah. Like I don't. I hate this rule. Like I hate this. This is
Yeah, I'm
stupid.
not-
It's. I guess they assume no one will be a cleric or
Yeah,
druid or bard in their game.
And that's why I could say like the only possible thing is like maybe a different plane of existence.
Yeah, maybe.
But even then, I feel like it would need some tooling.
Yeah, I mean, one, there's no mention of how, like, this DC is created,
Yeah.
or if there's a flat DC you have to beat, or what. Like, does reviving someone get easier because you have a really bards are the best
Yeah.
revivers because they can just persuade their way into you or the Grim Reaper letting you go.
They can persuade their way into life.
You're right, like, or persuade your way into life.
That's true.
So like, and then like revivify. Yes, it takes a gem or a diamond of a certain quality and worth, but like,
Oh no.
okay, like, great. Your party's probably gonna have that money
Adventures
anyway,
make enough money as it is. It's not a.
right? And like, maybe this is why you have a cleric who, like, when you go down, cast Spare the Dying, so you don't have to deal with this. Like,
So when did the hate of pineapple on pizza become a thing?
pineapple does not belong on pizza. Get out.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Why?
Because it's gross. The flavor, pineapple, marinara sauce, cheese. No. Well, okay, pineapple and cheese together. Horrible taste combo.
I think you just don't like pineapple and you're projecting your anger onto other people.
I think if there is a chef with a Michelin star that agrees with me, I'm validated.
And there's chefs who also have them that don't agree with you. So just because one happens to
But
be
Gordon
famous
Ramsay is
doesn't
the
mean
best.
just because one happens to agree with you doesn't mean that's an actual.
You know what? Prove a Michelin star chef doesn't agree with me, and I'll listen to you. But there's video of one saying pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, so I reference that.
I still want to know his reasoning behind it because it has nothing to do with flavor or taste. I think he's just jumping on a bandwagon of you gatekeep pizza. How are you gatekeeping pizza? It's literally fucking pizza.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing that I don't like on pizza that I've had on pizza:
Pineapple.
eggplant. It's
Oh,
disgusting.
eggplant. Yeah, no, eggplant also does not belong on pizza.
I would say that because the texture is really off.
Yeah.
That is the reason why I would go eggplant is
Texture's weird about pineapple on pizza too.
how. Okay, besides the fact that you don't like pineapple.
Shut up about that. That has nothing to do with this.
Yes,
But
it
I don't like
does.
pineapple.
Literally does.
I don't like pineapple on pizza. I think that's
The sweetness of pineapple, the saltiness of the ham or the bacon, and just the gooiness of the cheese works very well in a melding combination. And because your taste buds cannot handle that good of a flavor profile is not our problem.
my taste buds can handle flavors just fine. It's a gross combo.
Yeah, that's like your opinion, man.
Piss off. I'm rejecting this homebrew shit.
I reject this reality and substitute a Star Trek episode of my choosing.
Speaking of your homebrew shit, let's talk about more homebrew shit. So the whole revives thing. It's just a terrible idea. Just
Mhm.
let them cast the spells that let you revive people. Okay?
That's the one thing that's actually kind of focused on and done in a pretty decent way.
Yeah.
Wish them back.
Or,
At the end of the day, wish them back.
Yeah, that also works. So moving on from that shit show, skill check retries. I'm on 3 daiquiris now, so it's gonna get weird.
This is the Drunken Dice podcast for a reason.
It's fucking nice, yeah. So when another player attempts a skill check roll to gain new information, perception, history, arcana, etc., from the DM and fails, you may attempt the same check only if you have a higher skill modifier than theirs.
This is where I go. I've had a DM rule that the party gets 1 check and that's it. So I'm like, ooh, lenient on that, but it's still like that seems weird. People can't even try. Like,
So
a drunk monkey will find something at some point, so it doesn't matter how good they are. Sometimes they'll stumble
Right.
into it.
So here's my thoughts on it. I think it's an attempt to keep like the wizard, college of lore, bard, or sorcerer or whatever from going like, maybe I know something about this because of my background. Let me give it a shot. And then them not rolling well, and then like everyone else in the party just like, well, since they couldn't do it, I guess we'll all roll. Oh yes, the barbarian knows about Arcana now apparently, because he rolled a nat 20. Weird.
I think it'd be one of those that if you can give a reason why your character could try to know something, like say, hey, I've experienced this in my background. Is there a chance that, and you get a chance at it? Or even that barbarian, it's like, I had some asshole cast something on me once. I wonder if this is related.
Yeah, I mean,
Just make it work
right.
somehow.
I think that's generally the reason why this exists, but here's why I think it does absolutely nothing. The players know about this rule. Therefore, the players start with the -1 intelligent barbarian.
Oh, the metagaming starting's first. Yeah, oh god.
And then they just go down the list because everyone has a better modifier than the barbarian who is not proficient, has a -1 modifier. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Like that, you just go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still leaves it to metagaming, and
It is, but like at the end of the day, if you're restricting your players like that, like a better way to do it would be like the party has 3 chances as opposed to just one. Like you have 3 chances, but after that, like the party's not going to learn anything more.
Right.
As opposed to just one or everyone rolls. But this, like, they're just going to be like, well, Tahu's going to do this first. Okay. I don't know anything.
what about, as I was thinking about it, what about after the initial fail check, that anyone who has a positive modifier to the check can give it a shot?
Sure, that also works. I mean, most people are going to have probably have a positive modifier in most things.
But some people with dump stats that have, say, like 10 intelligence or something like that, they're off the table as well. It has to be a positive one that you've put skills into or proficiency into. I think that might be a good compromise to it's not locked down to 3.
Yeah.
Because if depending on the party, but it's not trying to do the barbarian somehow knows this intricate magic gem that's on the wall.
Right.
I feel that might be a happy medium.
Yeah,
It's off the top of my head, so it's a complete work in progress, but that might work.
I think that's better than this system, and I think it's better than the one try and you're done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
because what if you have 2 wizards in the party, and you're just like, so I don't get a shot at it? Like, I haven't studied my whole life to do things? Or also, you have a wizard and a dwarf who knows the runes inlaid into the wall?
Right. Also, it specifies a higher skill modifier, so 2 wizards who are both maxed out, only one of them can make the check.
That's
because the other one has the same, not a higher skill modifier.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, just...
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. I like the idea of what they're trying to do because it does get annoying a bit as a DM when, like, someone's like, can I do this thing? And you're like, sure. And then, like, you hear 5 dice rolls and you're like, wait, why is everyone rolling this? Like, this is a thing for them. Stop.
Okay. Tangent, rant. If you're not asked to roll, don't fucking roll.
Agreed.
The DM tells you when to roll. And guess what? You might ask to do something, and the DM will give it to you. You don't have to roll. But the fact that you just roll on your own accord means you can fail right away. Don't roll unless you're specifically given an exact check, attack, or something to roll. Don't do it. And just because you're rolling doesn't mean you get to do it. You can roll your nat 20, and the DM can still go, no, you can't do it. And then you just are left pissed. Because you did something before you were given a thing to do it.
Yeah.
Don't preemptively roll.
DM approved by me.
We're all DMs here.
Well, you guys are GMs.
Yeah, technically I am just a GM. I have not...
Because Star Wars and Star Trek are not dungeons.
I'm a Q. There's a difference.
Fair. I've at least never played with you as a DM.
No.
All right, so there's that. Here's another dumb rule. I think is dumb. I'm poisoning the well on this one, but I don't care. On this one, it's fine. Helping others, when you use the help action
Oh,
to aid
yeah.
another character in a task, you must be proficient in that skill.
That's no.
So,
Yeah,
as
that's
me and Alex have both expressed off screen, you can help someone fix a car. It may mean you are holding something in place, holding a light, putting in a position that they need, or doing one of many things. Does not
the hell.
require you to be proficient in auto
Just because
repair,
I don't know a damn thing about manifold, like it doesn't mean I can't help at some
right?
point.
Also doesn't mean he can't hand you a socket wrench and be like,
Hey,
unscrew that.
I
Okay.
can't I can't fix the transmission, but I can hand you the 10 millimeter socket and not
If,
drop it into the engine.
if you
Boom.
can find a 10 millimeter socket, it might already be missing.
The
Yeah,
thing I
walked
needed
away.
one. I was changing batteries in some of our golf carts, and I
Yeah.
needed a 10 millimeter. I'm like,
And it
of
was
course.
gone, right?
No, it was there
Oh wow, that's a
because we keep the door locked,
Wow.
Um,
and only certain key holders can get into that room. So it's actually there.
I was gonna say
Nice.
that thing goes missing all the time.
There's
Uh,
always a socket that's gone.
Yeah, but it was
it's most of
fun
the time
letting
10 millimeter because it's used for like freaking everything.
everything. Yeah, but it was fun letting someone know, hey, we're dealing with electricity here. Do all this so you don't get shocked, die, or blow up the engine. All these things could happen if you do it wrong.
But where's the fun in that?
Yeah, golf cart batteries are obnoxious.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll move on from that because that's obviously a stupid rule. As we've just gone on a rant about a bunch of things like 10 millimeter sockets being missing. Because we cared that little about it. So
Yeah.
rest. Short rests must be at least 1 hour. They restore 1 hit die per hour to a maximum of 3 hit die, so a 3 hour long short rest, as well as 1d4 -1 spell slots. Short rests are capped at 2 per day. Long rests restore full health and 1d4 plus your spellcasting modifier spell slots, and get rid of 1 level of exhaustion. And those are capped at 1 a day, being 8 hours. And then a full rest restores all health, all spell slots, and gets rid of 4 levels of exhaustion, but must be at least 24 hours of no activity.
Yeah.
You had
This
thoughts?
I do, because I played in a campaign where we wanted heightened realism, or basically, this campaign setting took place in a plane of existence that did not have the weave. The weave, for anyone who doesn't know, is what allows the magic in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition as it exists to exist. It's how the Forgotten Realms has magic.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a portal that was opened into this plane of existence that could only be really done through airship because it was this kind of thing up in the skies. The technology of the area was like the age of discovery, so we kind of were starting to get into like gunpowder muskets, so like the whole gunner feat and everything in Tasha's is starting to come into play, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh, so it was really fun. I love the premise of it because we were finding ways to expand the weave into this world. So there was two like settings that we were in. There was times that we were in the weave and things just operated normal D&D 5e. It's exactly how it was. But when we got past those established areas, we operated things with kind without weave. That short rests were basically 24 hours. You had to be like a long night, essentially like a long rest became a short rest.
Okay, so there were 8 hours.
Yeah. I think we changed it partway through because we thought it was really bullshit the first time, and
Yeah.
we got it adjusted to at least let us be like an old long rest becomes a short rest, so we can like sleep off and get some hit points
Yeah.
back, so we're not spending a month in this dungeon. And then a long rest became a week of doing like nothing but downtime, and it was rough for sometimes
Rough.
because getting spell slots. And then he was like, well, no one in the party was a healers. And like, none of us wanted to be a spellcaster, really, because it felt very, very handicapped
Yeah.
on that. Like, I
I
played
mean,
multiple characters because I died a lot in that campaign. Because I'm still going to go, he one-shotted me as a level 1 character
yeah.
on a challenge rating that we would not have been facing. And I'm still salty that he did that. He knows how salty I am about this. I was so pissed when that
The
happened.
death spirals are real
There was
when
a lot
things
of
like
death
that
spirals, and especially it was one of the ones that you didn't become a level that the rest of the party was. You kind of started
start back at
how
level 1.
it was if the lowest party member is 4 or lower, you start at level 1. If the lowest party member is 5 to 9, you start at level 5, and it was like tiered like that.
Okay.
But it was one that I died twice. I had two characters die in that campaign. The first one I thought was just bullshit, and I started behind it, and I was complaining up a storm because it was bullshit, and everyone's higher than me and mad. And
Yeah.
then the other time made more sense. The character kind of had like a heroic sacrifice type thing. A lot of things went wrong for him to die, but I was okay with it because he was fully willing to sacrifice himself to save someone else in the party.
Right.
But it was one of those that, hey, I keep going back. I'm now level 1 again. There's a good chance I'm going to die again because you keep throwing these things at us. And it was a whole thing that I'm just like, this is annoying as hell. I
Yeah.
don't like it.
That's fair. So, my opinion on this rule. For a harder setting, I actually like the long rest and the full rest kind of things because
Mhm.
a long rest could still be like while you're out on the road, you're sleeping in a sleeping bag under a simple tent, and you're getting by. You regain your hit points, sure. You regain a decent number of spell slots, but not all of them. You're not having a great restful time. You're
I would
not getting like a full day to like recuperate, or even sometimes a full night because it's
yeah.
probably going to be interrupted and whatnot by.
I can see what you're talking about, but as someone kind of been in that situation, if your body is conditioned for that, which I would say most adventurers probably are, you kind of get through it. It sucks in the beginning, but you do kind of get through it, and you can get a very restful time.
Yeah, um, that's fair. My issue here mainly is with short rests
Yeah,
because it requires you for a maximum of 3 hit die. It requires you 3 hours of rest.
yeah, that's
So
a
if
lot.
you're doing two of them a day, 6 hours of your day gone.
Yeah, that's a
That's
lot.
a good portion of your day.
You might as well just take a long rest at that point.
Right. Like you might as well. Plus, once you get to higher than level 6, there's no reason to worry about like more hit die because you can only use 6 of them a day.
Hmm.
You regain them after a full or a long rest. So like
Yeah,
hit die is, and then you're telling me like a level 12, 15, or say level 12 can only use a quarter of their hit die during a short rest, half of their hit die across
yeah,
the entire
that's
day.
great. And then you get to also get spell slots back. That seems like you handicapped short rest, but you also buffed the shit out of it, and you made
Yeah.
Warlock's special feature essentially obsolete.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like the spell slots on some level I do like it because maybe then parties will be less uh like hesitant to use anything above a cantrip, especially at early levels where you're like, I only have
Three of
3
them.
spell slots. It would be nice to get a spell slot back or two here or
Mhm.
there, especially like a cleric. Um,
Yeah.
or
Like
like no
Wizards
arcane
get their
recovery.
arcane recovery so they can
Yeah.
get that, but
Um, but I mean, outside of low level characters, 1d4 minus 1 spell slots, really not gonna make a huge difference. So it buffs the magic people early, and then disadvantages melee martial characters, especially late.
really it just fucks melee people pretty bad.
I mean, early, not a big deal because you're still able to use like most,
They
if
don't
not
get a
all, of
buff
your
at
hit
all.
die.
Like at least the
Right.
spellcasters get a buff early, but the melee get nothing early and
And
a
then
nerf
fucked later.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, which martial characters generally are the ones who don't need to be pulled back late game because they don't have this thing called magic, which can drop a
Yeah.
meteor swarm within a mile of you on a.
I was about to say, magic is so overpowered at high levels in 5th edition like melee characters already get a kind of a nerf at high levels just with how stupidly powered magic is.
Yeah.
So I don't like Peter. What do you think? You've been sitting there contemplating for a bit, and we've been ranting.
Well, I mean, you guys have been playing this longer than I did have, but I am not a huge fan of it. Um, Kind of for the same reasons, um, especially the hit die thing. Because while I usually go for a spellcaster, looking at some non-spellcaster classes is like you're gonna want those hit die, especially later on,
Yeah.
because you're especially like the barbarians and such. Like you're the hit point sponge. That's what you do. And if you're not allowed to heal yourself more than like a quarter of your damage every time, that just seems like it's like, oh well, after level what 12 or 11 or whatever it was, you should basically just let your melee character die and use a spellcaster, because then you can actually be more effective, and that just seems stupid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So we all agree this is not good.
No, I'm okay with trying to modify rest in some way, like making it 3-tiered instead of two. I think that's actually a kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
yeah,
But how they have it in there, I don't think it's balanced well.
Yeah. No. And I agree. Like I think a 3-tiered system I actually like, because like when you're out doing the work and traveling from place marching 24 miles a day,
Yeah.
protecting the cart and all of that stuff, like you may be able to keep doing that for a few days on long
Yeah.
rest, but when you get to a town and you actually get to like fully rest and like take a day, not put on your armor, go just buy some fruit at the market and stuff, and
Yep.
just like a nice relaxing day to recuperate the rest of the way. Like I kind of like that idea, but yeah, the short rest is what bothers me most.
And actually, I think it'd be kind of cool because you can make it like a class feature that, say, some like druids and rangers can get fully rested in a long rest time because they're used to being out in the wild and everything else like
Yeah.
that. You
Yeah.
can make it a part of certain classes, or like a fighter too, because like they're
Mm.
heavily conditioned. They're used to these sort of things.
Yeah,
Like
or
you can
put it
make
as
it.
part of like the soldier background.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, that's a good one. That would actually be really good and make a background very meaningful.
soldier, outlander,
Mhm.
those two would use it.
Hermit would probably be
Hermit.
up there too.
Yeah.
There's good ways you can put flair in there that people can get the benefit of the full rest with a long rest,
Yeah.
but without making it just something that's blanketed. Because like a wizard who studies at an academy is not going to be conditioned for that.
No.
No.
And actually, that's something you could actually make for the warcaster to be a little bit better. That the warcaster gets the benefit of it. That you get it with that subclass,
Yeah.
because they're used to being part of that, and actually would rise that subclass into a bit stronger.
Mhm.
Because
Well-
right now, with the blade singer, the divination, and the energy is probably some of the best ones. At
Yeah.
least according to Dungeon Dudes, that's what their favorites are.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you could also have it as something for a wizard or something like that, like Lehman's Tiny Hut, or like any of those spells that let you like give you that sense of safety, or a special place out in the wilderness. That, like, it gives those spells some utility in those ways, or like he may not be conditioned for this, but he's basically like he's using a spell because
Yeah.
in this version you don't get all of your spell slots back with a long rest, like, so you're still using one of your spell slots. There's some meaning behind it, because it's not just like, well, I have one left so I can use it because I get them all back
Yeah.
in the morning anyway. That, like, it gives some more usefulness to those spells, or having those spells where you can just be like, I know we're not really meant for this, so I'm going to give us this safe spot. I'm going to use my magic, use a spell slot to let us get that full rest during this
And-
long rest.
there even could be like a feat or something that you can get extra like D4 spell slots during a long rest compared to a full rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of ways to.
I like the potential of this.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I'm gonna go like. It's not optimized yet, but I love the potential of it, and I think it could have a place in a future edition or something like that,
Absolutely. Or I mean,
or or a
we,
different game system
we
entirely.
we've crapped on a lot of homebrew already. Like,
Yeah.
there's potential here. It just
Mhm.
needs fixing and adjusting,
It needs a lot.
which
It
Whoever,
needs
all
tweaking.
homebrew needs.
yeah, whoever made this, I like where your brain was going. It just needs some play. It needs like Unearth Arcana. It needs some play testing to
Yeah.
see what would work and what's actually balanced. But I think
Oh
this is a very solid idea, as long as you
yeah.
take away the spell slot thing with the short rest needs to be reworked.
The short
The
rest
hit
needs to
die
be
thing
removed.
needs
But
to be
the other
removed.
things are I really enjoy.
Yeah. The last thing from this making it harder section is injuries. If you basically take half your max hit points and damage, you gain a wound. Injuries can result in debuffs, gashes to the legs, lowers movement speed. If you don't ever treat them, they can become permanent. Uh, and if an injury is severe enough, they can begin as permanent, which like cut off an arm, cut off a leg, things like that. Honestly, with this just screams Star Wars: Edge of the Empire, critical injuries.
Yeah.
I think
As
it's not
soon
bad.
as you used wound, I'm like, that's going to Star Wars. That's going to Fantasy Flight.
Yep. Like I like that system that they have where in that if you there's a rating on on each weapon. If you get enough successes to meet that rating, you can cause a critical injury. You roll a D100, and that determines what type of injury the person gets. Every concurring injury adds an additional 10 to that
And
die, going from like you're staggered for this turn to like permanent death or like to death at 151. Yeah, that's it. Um, hard to read because
huge
everything's so
list of
small.
things. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean it's literally like every 4 or 5
it
numbers is
goes.
a new one.
It's every 5, going from a minor dick, a minor nick.
That is a permanent injury.
A minor dick. You. The tip is gone. Um, so you get a minor nick to distracted to a agonizing wound. Target increases the difficulty of all brawn and agility checks by 1 until the end of the encounter. So basically, an entire fight becomes harder. You get one called Winded until the end of the encounter. The target cannot voluntarily suffer any strain to activate any abilities, so it cripples an entire mechanic of the game
Mhm.
that you can't do. 2, then once you get to over 90, it gets bad. Like, you start suffering strain, horrific injury, you roll a d10, and you basically get things that are just really crushed. Bleeding out, end is nigh, which I love at the end. They give you a little bit of hope at 141 to 150 that the target will die after the last initiative slot during the next round, that somebody might save you, and then just die. But I like how that one's actually worse because it's like you're going to die, but there's nothing you can do about it, and you have to wait it. You're not just dead. You have to sit there and watch everyone freak out before you die.
You're just bleeding out on the ground, and you see your party go, "Oh no!" and then you did.
Oh shit!
Are you okay? No. So I like that. I like that adding something like that into Dungeons and Dragons is there because you do seemingly can take huge hits and basically brush them off. And
Yeah.
I mean, in normal Dungeons and Dragons, take a long rest and you're fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you took like 100 points of damage. You only have 110 hit points in total. You almost died in one hit, and the next day you're like, "Let's go adventuring!" Like you're not even sore. What? Like
You did say that HP does not correlate to the injuries you take, so
yeah.
it depends
And
on.
after working out for the first time, after like months of not working out,
Yeah,
my
that's
hit points do not fully recover the next day. I can only imagine getting punched in the face a bunch or slashed or hit by a fireball, being like, today I really don't want to do anything.
I'm taking a mental health day, guys. Leave me alone.
I have
You
cop
can-
time.
My characters would be doing that regularly.
I know there's an arrow slit trap at the end of that hall. I am not going down there till tomorrow. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to have some of my jerky and wine, and you can do nothing about it.
Exactly. So I like that there's something involved with injuries in that.
I'd be curious, does the rule apply to enemies too?
I would assume so, because my general rule is if something can happen to the party or the party can do something, it can happen to the enemy or the enemy can do it.
Right. I'm just saying because sometimes homebrew stuff like it affects the player just to make it harder,
Right.
but it doesn't logically affect the rest of the world because
Right.
it's just there to make it more difficult.
This
Right.
is definitely one where you have to have a good relationship with your DM in the whole situation, because
Oh yeah. And with all homebrew, like
Yeah.
you need to have an open line of communication with you and the DM, because there might be points where like you both kind of realize like this is broken, this doesn't work, and being able to like after the game being like, can we alter this a little bit? Can we fix this? Can we find a way around
And
it?
based on my own experience, do not let a first-time player homebrew anything. Just don't do it.
No.
Don't.
Bad choice.
It's not good. I would know, because I was allowed to do it, and don't do it.
Yeah, it was a bad choice.
It was very bad.
Bad choice. So now we're on to a magical item. So it's a war drum, attunable only by a bard. It gives a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DCs for your bard spells. In addition, it allows you to cast the following spells once per day that refresh at dawn each. Bless, Prayer of Healing, Summon Fae, Compulsion, and Commune with Nature. It also includes the Drums of War bonus action, which once per long rest, you may begin performing the Drums of War. Roll a performance check, which uses one of your hands at the beginning of your until the beginning of your next turn. Up to 10 allies who can hear your performance are inspired and gain bonus to strength-based damage rolls, depending on your performance. On each of the sequential turns, you may use your bonus action to continue performing for up to 10 additional rounds, so a total of 11 rounds of this. Continuing your performance requires the use of one hand, but does not initiate a new performance check. After finishing your performance, the benefit lasts until the end of your next turn, which would be 12 rounds of effect for this. If you going up by 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, it's either 1 damage, 2 damage plus advantage versus fear checks, or 3 damage with the advantage to the next level, 4 damage and you're immune to fear, or 5 damage and you're immune to fear at a 25 performance DC. Okay. I said that very
That's
fast.
a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. That's why I said it quick.
Said it quack.
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 So, I like the +1 to both, and that seems like a fairly like mid-level on its own.
Yeah.
However, these spells that you can cast once per day each that refresh at dawn, too much. Bless, Prayer of Healing, okay. Summon Fae, okay. Like that's Compulsion, that's a 4th level spell, and then Communicate is a 5th level spell.
That's a lot every day.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of
Here's how I would change that. It has 3 charges. Bless, Prayer of Healing, and say Summon Fae each use 1 charge. Compulsion uses 2 charges, and Commune with Nature uses all 3 charges. They restore at dawn the next day. So if you want to use Commune with Nature, you're using up all of your charges.
I would say, well, depending on the charges work, if you could do, say, like a 1d4 plus 1, or just a 1d4 charges. So you might not even get all of them back that day, because that's a lot that you could get out of that item.
Yeah, that's fair. I just figured like doing a thing like charges instead of just like do all of these once per day. Like that is 5 spells once per day with no hit to my spell slots. two of which are higher level spells, being fourth and fifth level spells. Summon phase, what, second level spell? I don't remember. It's pretty low. Prayer of Healing, that's like a second level spell. Blessed, first level. Like, those are pretty low, so I'm not an issue with those. But being able to do all of them in a day is just too much. I will say with the Drums of War, I do like that it takes a bonus action every turn you're doing it, because that means you have to either do that or cast Healing Word if you need to heal someone, or give Bardic Inspiration, or do any of those things that require bonus actions. Like, you have to choose between this or that. And I mean, 10 allies seems like a lot, but then thinking about normal party composition, 10 allies are not doing strength-based damage.
No.
You're going to have a monk who may or may not, but probably going to be using more finesse and using dex, because dex is more helpful for them.
Whoa. Okay, we're back.
That was weird.
Okay, it wasn't just me who saw that.
Don't worry.
Peter.
I was
No,
making the
we're good.
screen bigger for you.
Oh,
It
God,
doesn't actually
shaking.
affect anything.
Okay,
We're
okay.
shaking.
It doesn't affect anything.
I know.
Aftershock.
Jesus. Jesus. So, yeah, realistically, this is helping your fighter and your barbarian. Paladin.
Yeah,
And
a fighter, barbarian, paladin.
I mean, cleric a little bit, but cleric's probably doing more of the buffing anyway. So, not that much. At higher levels, you're going to be basically making your party immune to fear, because while rolling can lead to still low performance checks, if you're proficient with it and you roll decently high, a 25 in performance for a bard is not that difficult to get.
No. Especially that they're going to most likely have expertise in that as well.
Right.
At that point, it's like, oh no.
I mean,
Anyway.
kind of a mid-tier character with that normally has a 4 proficiency modifier. Expertise already brings that up to 8. They're gonna have high charisma as their spell casting, so assume that's at least a 3, probably a 4.
Yeah.
So you're already looking at a plus 12.
If not 5.
You can, yeah. But if we're looking at plus 12, you're hitting that with what, a 13 roll or more, and you get plus 5 damage and immune to fear. Just the immune to fear, you need a 12. Yeah. That's not, or not even a 12.
Yeah.
You need an 8 to get immunity to fear. So it's
I'm also,
easy for that, but
I'm also sitting here thinking about the whole thing. An artificer that rigs up a construct to play these things, following him into battle. But he just has like a little device following him, because a high enough artificer can do it. He gets to bypass all immunities to attunement, depending on class. So an artificer could do this.
He could do that, but I don't think his construct would be able to attune to the drum. He would have to attune to the drum and use it.
Yeah, I doesn't know all the basic rules of how the artificer bullshittery when it comes to magic items, because I know he just gets stupid amounts of everything.
Yes, he
But
can
I feel
attune
like
to
it'd
like a
be
million
funny.
things.
I could just give you like a one-man band thing going into battle, and it'd be really funny that he gets to do this.
That would be interesting. I like this. There's obviously a lot of thought into this. The Drums of War is interesting. It seems great, but also it's going to be limited to just a few people, because your rogue's not getting it, which I kind of actually like, because the rogue is going to do enough damage as it is with sneak attack. Like, you don't need to give it more damage. They're probably hitting for like 70 damage on that first round anyway.
You know what I actually really like this item with? A boss fight with a group of antagonists. You're going through, you're fighting, say, like a tribe of something, possibly barbarians, something like that. And one of the main bosses has an item like this that buffs all his minions.
Yeah, kind of like a leadership ability, but with this
Mm-hmm.
item. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could actually be really cool and really work. And then when you get it, you get a more nerfed version of it. Say like
Yeah.
it's the +1 version with it, you can
Hmm.
get bless and something else once per day, and a modified version of the war drum.
Yeah.
But I think that full version of it could be kind of really cool as a boss weapon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. Um, it just needs a few tweaks, which
Yeah,
playtesting will
exactly.
easily reveal. Which, like we said before, all homebrew needs playtesting.
Oh yeah, there's a reason why
Um,
it's homebrew and not.
exactly. Even normal D&D stuff, especially in the other books, came from Unearthed Arcana first because they playtested.
Mm, a lot.
Because there's a reason why some DMs like myself do not allow Unearthed Arcana because it
No.
hasn't been playtested, and I don't want that in my games. All right.
Nope.
So we've done that. Now the last thing is homebrew race, succubus. We know what succubuses are. Um, I will say their description of the history that the demon has to do the bad with a man. Okay, just say have sex. It's fine. Like we all know. If you're putting this type of character in your game or this NPC in your game, I'm assuming you in a session 0 covered that at least cut to black sex is fine in your games, and you're probably not doing it for children. So just say it. It does say that they have to do it while the man is sleeping, which I think is a little wrong, especially because in the monster manual it talks about them needing a consenting partner, which is why their persuasion and stuff is so high in that, because they're literally trying to seduce a person. They don't even magically do it. They need a actually consenting person. So I think little change there needs to happen. But general traits are they get +2 to charisma, live 150 to 200 years. They're neutral or evil aligned. They came from hell. Let's be honest, you're playing an evil succubus. It's literally came from the hells. So, uh, size medium, speed 30 feet, dark vision for 60 feet. That makes sense. Manipulative nature. They know the spell suggestion and can cast it once per long rest without expending a spell slot. And the claws and teeth, you can either choose to have a bite or a claw attack for 1d6 of appropriate damage, either piercing or slashing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, on what we see here, I think reducing the claw or teeth to a 1d4 makes more sense since that's what the
Yeah.
Tabaxi does.
Mm-hmm.
So don't give it an improved ability that a Tabaxi basically has the same but not as good.
If you want to do something more with the teeth, make it like the lizard folk that it's only once per short rest that they get to do their bite, and it's
Yeah.
more than 1d4.
Yeah. That would also be a good fix to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind suggestion. I know it's a level 2 spell slot, but a sub race of elf can basically do Misty Step.
Yeah, it's the moon ones, right?
No, the elf is like the Iridane or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's in Mordekainen's. I haven't played with one, so I kind of forget what the name is. But they can basically do Misty Step in effect. So I'm not so worried about that. +2 to charisma, fine. Honestly, it could use +1 to something else, like every other race.
Yeah.
However, I would much rather just have someone say they want to play this and say we're just going to say your changeling is a succubus and we'll give it dark vision.
To be in a
And just do
changeling,
that.
or kind of rework a tiefling. But
Well,
it's already kind of partially there anyway.
in flavor, sure, but in actual like abilities,
That's
I
why I
think a
like rework
changeling.
it. Yeah.
I think a changeling is better because succubus in the monster manual are shapeshifters. Changelings have shape changer, so the same ability that they have that succubus are meant to have in monster manual. They get +2 to charisma and then +1 to another skill of their choice. Um, the age is less, but okay, you're not playing 100 years in a campaign, so that's really not going to come into too much of an effect.
Yeah.
They are neutral or evil aligned, so neutral or evil aligned here. They're medium. They have 30 feet of walking speed.
Yeah.
They actually gain proficiencies in deception, insight, intimidation, or persuasion, and they're given like a few languages.
Yeah.
That outside of dark vision, that's kind of right up the succubus's alley. So you just give them dark vision.
You're right.
Instead of suggestion, you're gaining persuasion
Yeah.
and deception as a proficiency, which is
Hey,
going to be way more useful than suggestion once a day.
I think that's fair.
So I would just rather be like, just play a change. Like statistically, you're a changeling. We're just going to say you're a succubus, and it's narrative and flavor there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
it.
when it comes to narrative and flavor, I don't mind a lot of homebrew because it's all. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day with that one.
Right. Like the mechanics are what normally throw off homebrew stuff, and just saying you're using the changeling mechanics because it actually fits really well with a succubus.
Mhm.
Cool, you're a succubus. You just use
Yeah.
the changeling mechanics. Great. Like I have zero problems with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my suggestion. I did state that to the person on Reddit who did not respond to me.
That's
So
nice.
what a jerk. No, I'm kidding. They didn't respond. Anywhere close to when when I made my comment. But that's what I think about that. That's all we got for homebrew today, which
Yeah,
is a
nothing
lot.
crazy. It was a
talked
lot. It
about
was a lot of homebrew.
It was. I mean, just from that first one, we could have gone to way more.
Oh yeah, you could.
Oh, there were like 10 things on that list. I chose the best.
Oh no.
Yeah, it gets worse. We'll talk about it
Oh.
another time.
Hey,
Maybe.
another time.
So
The
Go
main
ahead.
bulk of what we're going to do today is of the last of our 3 game systems that we've been talking about. We're going to go through the Star Wars Fantasy Flight character creator. Bleh. Specifically, the Edge of the Empire. I wanted to keep it simple because you can get into a whole lot of everything when it comes to character creation with this game. It is made for flavor and background and custom, and that's one of the cool things about it. So we're going to go through, we're going to make a character today, and there's even a page, if you go to page 35 of the Edge to the Empire manual, it gives you a nice list of generation steps on what to do. It actually kind of makes it kind of nice. Determine character concept and background, determine the starting obligation, select the species, select the career, select your specializations, invest in experience points, determine attributes, determine motivations, choose gear and description, and choose your starting ship if your game master allows you to have a ship right away. Because not all will allow you to have a ship.
Correct.
Fair.
All right, so we're gonna go and we'll just go down the list. We got the numeric thing. We'll do it once. What do we want this character to be? Mm-hmm.
I don't
What's
remember the
horny
options.
bard of the
Oh gosh.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We won't do a horny bard this time. We did that for Star Trek.
Yeah, you already made the Ryzen Bard. So
Check out
That's
last
a
week.
lot.
It still makes me laugh.
How often Jim and I could make Peter uncomfortable. It was great. And just
you
throw
weren't
off
making
his
me
entire
uncomfortable. It
thing.
was more just the stop. Why? Continue.
I can do this all day. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, and that's what was going through my head. Is of course you can, and we're keeping on going.
Um,
What do we want to do? What type of Star Wars character are we doing? We're in the Empire. We're in the fridges, the mid to outer rim. What do we do? What do we want to be? Ooh, dead air. Love it. You can hear the wheels turning.
you can hear the gears grinding. Um, trying to remember
What?
all of the choices here.
I love how this isn't anything specific. It's just kind of nebulous. Like, just what do we want our character to kind of. What do we want them to do is the hard part. We're not even getting to anything
You know,
specific.
how about in that case we just make them like a smuggler pilot?
Pacifist.
A smuggler. We have a smuggler pacifist pilot. Okay. That is what we're at. I love this concept that when we're now going with it. They don't care about everything they do, but they're not going to resort in violence to do it. All right. So, Peter, you are our tech person. Bring things up. We have a smuggler pacifist pilot to
Are
bring
we
up.
putting this in the career, or where is this going?
This is just kind of. We need a note of it while we're making it. That this is the type of. Like, the career was probably going to. We're probably going into. Yeah, make it our name at first, and we'll find ways to do it.
I mean, would we do smuggler or like explorer?
No, we always told I got a smuggler, I got a pacifist, and a pilot. We're making this character work.
All right, I was just looking at careers.
I know. Let's see. So now we got that. Now we have to do our starting obligation. Why is our pacifist being a smuggler? So there is a table on page 40 of the main player's handbook. So we have addiction, betrayal, blackmail, bounty, criminal, debt, duty bound, family, favor, oath, obsession, or responsibility.
I think he's an addict. I death sticks, hell of a
What?
drug.
Oh god.
Yep.
Okay.
Are we going with we're going a destic addict pacifist smuggler pilot? Okay.
Okay, so type.
Okay. We are our obligation is addiction.
Yep.
Okay. It's not expecting. No. How obligation works in Edge of the Empire. At the start of each session, the GM is going to roll a percentile dice, and it's going to determine if one of the players has their obligation come into play in that session at some point, or they're okay that round. So starting off with an addiction can be one of the ones that our parties will do. There's also a way, if you want to start in character creation, if you want to start with more gold, you can take an additional obligation and you get a jump to your number in the percentile die that it will hit on you. Or you can also start with more XP and get the same hit. For right now, we're not going to do that.
Really, because I was going to say I think he needs an additional XP and more obligation because he's in debt because he keeps using the death sticks that he's smuggling.
Okay.
And so he has to pay off this debt too.
Peter, I like this. Peter, mark that we get an additional 10 XP, and we are also in debt with our smuggling, with our issues.
All the shipments come up short.
So
So now
from using the death sticks.
we
From
got
using
the
the
concept.
death sticks.
Where is our person from? Like, that's going into the background. We kind of skipped this part in the first thing, but this just kind of comes into the flavor of the character. Where is this person from? Are they from, say, the streets of Corellia? Are they a failed person from someone on the just the core worlds that was cast out? Are they just someone who's kind of lost and doesn't have anything? Are they a cast out from the Clone Wars? Are they old? Are they young? What is our
They're one of the few surviving clones. They were at the bar at Coruscant, that clone bar. They got addicted to the death sticks.
okay? A clone with a faulty inhibitor chip.
Oh boy,
The death sticks ruined the inhibitor chip. All right.
that would make sense.
Okay, and this was after the phase out of the clone, so it's
Yeah.
a retired clone.
Retired.
A retired. Okay, so I guess so. We've made our race up already, so we can jump to the next one. Is select species. I'm gonna scroll down to the. I think we're just gonna make this human, just to make it easy, because I know there's a homebrew clone class. I'm
Or
not going into
Mandalorian?
that right now. No, stop it.
Are you saying Jango Fett was not a Mandalorian?
Mandalorians are still technically humans, I believe.
Technically, yes.
Or Mandalorian, sorry, yes.
At least in the thing for this, Mandalorians are gonna get fun with it.
Fair enough.
Scrolling through the book, trying to find the humans real quick.
Page 48.
Thank you, humans. So, our starting stats, Peter, are 2s across the board.
Okay, let's pull this back up.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely thing about this sheet is that it populates all the dice pools already for you, so as you
So-
see it modify, it'll do it for
nice.
you. So
With our extra obligation, are we taking the money or are we taking the experience?
Oh, experience.
which
yes.
I already put down. Right.
Because he's in debt. You think he's getting more money for being in debt?
So
No.
we are our starting experience is 120. One thing about the Fantasy Flight games with that is you get experience after every session and you can spend it at will. It is one of those that you get it and use it. You don't get anything by hoarding it unless you want to save up for a specific thing. And because you spend the experience as you can.
Yeah.
Special abilities as a human, we start the game with one rank and 2 different non-career skills of our choice. They still may not train these skills above rank 2 character creation. So once we get that, just make a note that we have 2 that we get to do.
We do have to pick our
Yep.
career first.
Yep.
To know what
And-
we can.
And as of right now, our wound threshold is 10 plus brawn, and our strain is 10 plus willpower. So we're at 12 and 12s respectively. Do-do. Back up. I don't have anything fancy that walks you through everything as it is. Now we have to pick our career. Now picking the career is exactly what your person kind of does in the galaxy. Your starting career is something that you never really lose. You can kind of pick up specializations in different careers as you go on, morphing the exact character you want, which is really cool with the specialization that Edge of the Empire has to offer. But your base one is always going to kind of be, you kind of fall back on how you got into this whole thing to begin with.
By the way, page 83.
And that's the pilot, I'm guessing?
The smuggler pilot.
Okay, so
So-
there.
That's literally everything.
So we're going to the smuggler, and then there's like the different subcategories of the talent trees that you can get. We're
Yeah.
going the pilot.
Yeah. So in this one, they have other things other than the smuggler. They have hired guns, colonists, explorers, things like that.
Slicers,
Slicers. With
Um,
other books, you get Jedi
mercenaries.
classes, mercenaries, and the like. There's a lot to choose from. There's a lot. Of,
I think military commanders in Age of Rebellion, stuff like that.
yeah.
And if you go on, if you look at that book, you'll see that there's different costs that you can get by spending experience that you can get different stuff. I would recommend not spending too much in the trees and character creation because there's only certain things you can do with your skills and your stats and character creation that once you start the game you can't do anymore. And
Mhm.
these are things you can always spend during the game. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you want to do it, you want to make, you want to buff your character during creation, not
Hmm.
go deep into the skills because you don't have a chance to increase them afterward.
Yeah.
All right.
Unlike D&D, there is no ability score increase where you can change your base scores. Like those are what
Yeah.
they are after character creation. So
Yeah, they don't change.
outside of like lopping off an arm and putting on a cybernetic implant or something like
Yeah.
that,
Right.
or
And
turning
that
yourself fully into Grievous.
And we kind of hit this with our specializations, like going on a smuggler is kind of a career path where the pilot section of that is going to be your specialization. So each specialization includes 4 additional career skills. These 4 career skills should be marked on the character sheet as career skills if they are not already marked. Jim, can you look up the pilot ones for us so we can start marking each
Yep. The
one?
pilot's career skills are coordination, deception, knowledge, underworld, perception, piloting space, skullduggery, streetwise, and vigilance.
And can you go to the smuggler itself and develop those career skills so we can have it?
Well, I think those are the smuggler ones because then it has the pilot bonus ones.
Yep. What are the pilot bonus ones?
The pilot bonus ones are astrogation, gunnery, piloting planetary, and piloting space.
Now, with these career skills, it just kind of affects how you can level up different. If you look in there, you see those ranks in that same thing with each skill. To get different ranks in things, it will cost 10 experience times whatever rank it's going to be. So say I was going from 2 to 3 in a rank of say cool, I would need 30 experience to go from 2 to 3. However, if it's one of your career skills, it is only 5 times that level. So it essentially cuts that cost in half. So it's one thing, it helps you get really good at what you do, and it makes it easier to get better.
Which
So
is nice.
now, once we get that specialization, now we have 120 experience points to actually invest into what we want to do.
So
Yeah,
I'm thinking we put nothing towards Braun.
nothing yet.
He's still a pacifist, so
Yeah, it's not. I, and 2 is still. It's it's kind of average as a clone. He's going to be strong, but it's not going to be one that you're going to put a lot of thing
yeah.
into.
We're talking a reg. We're not talking wrecker. So
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
definitely not Wrecker.
Wrecker would not be described as a pacifist.
No, the opposite of that, I think he would be.
He likes to blow stuff up. I mean, I guess that's technically not breaking pacifism if no one is inside the thing that's being blown up.
I mean, kind of.
I mean, when you really think about it.
Can you really?
The question is, are droids things that they would not want to kill? That's the question.
Yeah, that's. And I'm looking in the specifics of right now and how improving your, because you cannot go above a certain number during character creation, and I want to make sure I'm doing that right.
you can't go up to you can't go above rank 2 in character creation.
Yes, that is.
Right.
What page is that on, Peter? So we can read that. Do
Oh,
you
I
have
don't
that?
I don't remember, but we said it a little earlier.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's for the skills, putting rank in skills.
Yeah, but not your attributes themselves.
Oh, the
I
attributes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was like they can't go above.
believe it's 4.
92.
92? Okay, thank you.
This
book is big.
Characteristics. The only time a character can increase characteristics with
Yeah.
experience
Same.
points, it's 10 times the purchase rating.
Yeah.
During
in
character
experience.
creation, no characteristic can be increased higher than 5.
Five.
During the
Yeah.
course of play, no
It's
characteristic can be increased higher than 6.
Yep. Sorry. This book is thick and there's a lot to remember. And you see my tabs and everything, and that's just when I'm running it, so I remember how fear and all those sort of mechanics
Yeah.
work, which
I
is
mean,
something we can go over later.
frankly,
Oh,
I don't think the topping off at 5 is really a concern. I don't think we're going
that's
to
a,
use that much experience.
we
That's a
don't
lot.
have that much experience to, I think, get one attribute to 5.
Right, because it's not I want to get it up to 5, so it's 50 experience. No, it's the 30 experience for 3, the 40 experience for 4, and then the 50 experience for 5, which
Yeah.
is like
No.
all of our experience. So
That
I think we could spend literally all of our experience to get one thing to rank 5. If my math is right.
I still think we should get our agility up some. Because if we're going to be a pilot, I think having at least one more in that is going to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the skill that piloting uses, so.
Yes, so I would say we spend 30 of our 120 to get at least a 3 in piloting or in agility.
Okay, so that brings us down to 90, and then we get another in agility. Look at that lovely dice population. So nice.
It is nice.
Mm-hmm.
You're really thrilled about automatically filling stuff, and I appreciate it because
It
it's
is
wonderful.
good. What we need to start building some of our ranks too, because that's going to be important.
We need to put at least get presence up to 3, because you're gonna have for this guy
Yeah.
to last this long. He's gonna need some negotiation powers.
I agree with that. I think that's good.
So getting that up to 3 would not be a bad
So
thing.
That's good.
we're spending another
So
30.
another 30 to get presence up to 3.
That's good. All right, and let's also move our strain threshold to 13 because we upped our agility. Perfect. Now we got to start taking some ranks in different stuff.
Remember, we get 2 non-career skill ranks because of.
We do get 2 non-career skills.
I think both of those should go into negotiation.
I agree.
I think that is a great way to do it.
All right, then we can erase that.
Perfect.
All right, that's in. I say we should move, spend the 20 XP to get our piloting as high as we're allowed to go in character creation?
Piloting space? Is that
Both of them.
both of them?
Because that's going to be 5, and then, so it's going to be 30 experience to get both of them up to.
Yeah, up to rank 2.
To rank 2.
I think that would be.
Yeah, that leaves us 30 more to play with.
We are a pilot. I think that was it's.
Yes. Which might I also suggest 15 into astrogation?
I think that's also a good idea. On that.
So does that bump it up twice, or?
That bumps it up twice, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Since it's a career skill.
Good. And
Maybe like 5 to just put 1 in deception.
I would say discipline. I know it's not a career skill,
It is.
but in order to, it is okay. Good. Then I would say at least 1 in discipline because, in order to stay this long, I think that person would have to be probably pretty disciplined in order to keep doing that.
No, it's not. No, I'm sorry. Deception's career.
Deception's a
not.
career.
I was.
Discipline's not.
They're both D.
Oh,
They're
D.
right next to each other.
10 for discipline.
Mhm.
Which so that leaves us with 5.
Yep.
We want to do that
Okay.
5 in deception then?
I would say honestly, going to the character, I would say streetwise because he has to keep getting his death stick somewhere.
Well, that's why he's always running up short on his smuggling operations.
Yep. 'Cause I
He's-
think he would need some streetwise in there.
Okay.
I was figuring deception to be like a droid ate him.
Actually, we want to leave this at the 120 of total, and the available is 0.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. That's how you mark that.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those that it I bet he's at least smart enough to not do death stick smuggling because he's gonna get crushed in that regard.
I mean,
If he's around this long, he's not.
at least he won't do death stick smuggling anymore.
He made that mistake once.
He made that mistake, and that's why he's in debt.
Right.
Yes. Then once he got the debt, he's not doing it again. So
He's like, I really fucked up.
yeah, this is bad. Not doing it.
Perfect.
No, we got that, the derived attributes, we leveled that stuff up. Now we need the starting motivations. Why? I mean, we have the obligation. This guy is doing it just to kind of survive this whole thing.
Yep.
So, motivations provides additional story elements for both the player and the GM to draw from. Characters can gain additional experience points if the GM determines that the player kept true to the character's motivation throughout the course of the adventure. Pay off the debt, I think, is probably it. Is the big motivation for this character.
For that, yes. But also, like, what's his motivation to be a pacifist?
Yeah. Because they say the three primary motivations for which a player may choose is ambition, cause, or relationship. I would say probably cause is what this one would go for.
I mean, cause in that factor, but also, like, you could do so much in this. Like, why did he get into this life in the first place? Like, why is he not just a normal pilot? Why is he a smuggler? Outside of because for death sticks, but like, could be people he knew or interacted with post-war.
Mm-hmm.
Went into this.
So
I mean, he could be a crew of former clones or something like that. So like that relationship, he doesn't want to kill, but he's doing this to help out his friends.
Yeah.
Or
he could fall under the comrades.
Yeah. He's a pacifist because he saw what happened to his friends and doesn't want to do that to other people.
Or he started doing death sticks right before Order 66.
Or just after Order 66.
Because of Order 66. And he had some sort of failure in his chip that caused him to feel all of that, and then the death sticks themselves kind of broke him out of it. But he's still coming to terms with everything that happened.
Yeah.
And we're seeing in the Bad Batch that the clones turned into dicks.
They did. And you also have to remember from Clone Wars, they were kind of party animals when they were in Coruscant.
They are party animals.
They were at party. So it could have been like he was totally down for Order 66. Someone offered him some death sticks, and instead of, you don't want to give me death sticks, you want to go home and rethink your life, he was like, yeah, okay. And then it destroyed his inhibitor chip, and he was like, what did we just do? What the fuck?
Or he could have been a part of, like, say, the 501st. And
even darker.
An entire detachment went down. Because during the thing at Mandalore, all of those clones with Ahsoka are gone.
Yep.
The only ones that are still around are the ones that committed the slaughter at the Jedi Temple.
And Rex.
But they don't know that.
But Rex is presumed dead.
I know. But he did survive the crash. I was just...
Yes, but this clone wouldn't know that.
Fair enough.
So all he knows that the two people he trusted the most, one was cast out of the military before with Ahsoka. One is presumed dead and no one knows. And then Rex went down with everyone when the one who was cast out came back.
I mean, presumably all three are dead. Because even Ahsoka's presumed dead because she was...
Yep, Ahsoka is presumed dead. And it can just be a whole... that... He's been through a lot.
Has been through a lot. So death sticks.
Yes. And he just got released from the military a few years after when the clones were phased out, and now he's just on Coruscant. And he smoked himself into nothing. And he had to take jobs from the underground there.
Perfect.
but he refused to hurt anyone with it because he's seen enough of death in that.
Yeah.
And then smoking the death sticks hurt the chip, and he had to come to terms with all the things that happened since Order 66 got activated.
Mm-hmm.
And he refuses to do that again.
Yeah.
So I would say comrades, mentor. There's a lot of the specific relationships part of the motivation that could fit.
He's got some deep motives.
Yep, there's a lot. Extended family. I think that's actually one that probably falls the best because that. I would say that's probably even deeper than comrades. I would say extended family.
They are brothers.
They are brothers, and how much they all look to Ahsoka and Anakin for everything.
True.
Mm-hmm.
We can put two. Let's put comrades in the other one too, because I feel like that would fit.
Yeah. Oh, definitely would fit.
Like, I love that. I like this character. This is good. This is a fun character. All
He's a
right.
fun character. We just described horrible, horrific backstory. You're like, this is fun.
I mean, you made a thing specifically because of what I do with characters half the time. So, let's be honest.
I haven't made anything based on your characters
I
yet.
know you've talked about it.
I have talked about it. I haven't made it.
The overly depressing backstory, whatever it is.
It's in the works.
My characters always had something terrible happen to them.
Always.
Always.
Some of mine
And they're
just have-
always generally very impulsive as well.
Yeah.
Probably because of their horribly depressing backstories, that they're very impulsive.
And he was given a dog to comfort him as an emotional support dog. Then it got cancer and died.
Yes.
I love how you didn't use the real world example of my entire people were genocided, but you went with a support dog that then got cancer.
I'm leaving some things for the video, okay?
Why? Alright, so gear and description. He's a clone. You know what he looks like. That's an easy one.
Yeah. I don't remember the.
In all of it, but clone. Tamura Morrison.
Right. Well, we know he's a male.
Django.
He's like 4.
No, by this point, he's probably
10.
no, because 5 years ago they were like 10 years old when they showed him in Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
He's probably 21
Okay.
at this point.
Drinking age. There you go.
Yeah,
Or, I mean, it's not like they didn't replenish, the 51st with new clones as they lost people. He could still be fairly young.
I like the 21 because they're kind of teenagers going to that. I'm okay with him being a bit on the older side, getting those connections, and then losing them all.
Fair enough. Of course, it's more tragic that way.
Exactly.
Apparently, this is the actual clone height. There you go.
Well, there we go.
Build. I don't remember the designations in this, but it's just, medium, we'll say.
Yeah.
Hair, black, eyes,
Yes.
brown?
Yes.
I don't know. Notable features. Clone.
Yeah, a clone. He's going to be recognized as a clone.
Yeah.
Oh, does he have any individual tattoos? Because a lot of them have that.
That's true.
And what was his nickname? We need his nickname.
Oh, we do need his nickname.
Well, that goes up here.
Yeah, and that's going to be what his actual name is.
Although we'll put, pacifist down.
Be like Strafer or something like that. Because he was a pilot. He could have gone in like.
Yeah, I'm thinking something pilot rise.
Yeah, that's what I'm just.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking of some of the nicknames actual pilots get.
Like oddball.
They're call signs.
Not particularly.
I'm not thinking call signs, but it's going to be something. I want to do something kind of destructive. I think he was one of the go-getters in the pilots. He flew like a bomb or something. He blew shit up.
That or like an Arc 130.
Yeah. What would?
Hmm.
Let's look at what are some of the clone nicknames.
Boomer.
Let's go, Battlestar. Okay.
There's a clone nickname. Generator.
What?
Yeah, that's
That's horrible. No, get out.
There's a clone named Generator? That sounds awful.
It's pretty awful. These are all awful.
Yeah.
Chase effect. No, those aren't even clone nicknames. Those aren't even. Binks.
Binks.
Yeah, that's just horrible.
Ooh, we could actually kind of make this someone who is part of the 501st, an actual clone. Make it Broadside. One of the pilots on there.
Yeah, we could do an actual person.
And he lost a lot of people. He's part of Shadow Squadron, so he lost a lot of people.
Mm.
And he was never officially killed or anything like that. I think Broadside is a good person. We can do a continuation of an actual character with this if we didn't.
Okay, so we'll
Yeah.
Yeah,
Broadside.
he's the minimum casualties, maximum effectiveness. That's us. That's actually a perfect character to kind of put into this too.
Yeah. Works for me.
And he was there during the entire thing. He fought with Anakin, Ahsoka, lost a lot of people and all that. That's
Mm-hmm.
and he piloted Y wings. Yeah,
Solo bomber, yeah.
and he helped fight the Malevolence.
Ooh.
And he was close friends with Matchstick.
Yeah,
Another great pilot name.
Mm-hmm. Who died?
Yeah, well,
God.
This guy. It's one of your backstories. Everyone dies.
Everyone dies.
Everybody hurts.
I would say I'm gonna put he has a tattoo of a matchstick on the sides of his head. There's a match on there, kind of like where Fives has his 5. He has a match on there to commensurate his brother.
Teardrop tattoos because he's an OG. I'm kidding.
oh look, there it is. Whoa.
Sweet. And what's his ship going to be? I think being a pilot, we should give him a ship. That's
Do we give him a ship, or is he just piloting ships for other people, like the Hutts?
I would say he would still have to have one. I don't think he would be trusted with a ship. Kind of
That's fair.
go to the ship sections of this crap that's near the end. Not a capital. He does not have a capital ship.
What? Why not? Seems totally reasonable. Death sticks, the whole thing. Every room is death sticks.
Every room is death sticks.
He is committed to his cause. I mean, he wouldn't still have a Y-Wing.
No.
No. Where's the I know it's in here. Where did it go?
What are you looking for?
The Hawk 290. It's Kyle Katarn's ship from the Dark Forces games. It hauls a little bit of cargo. It's pretty small.
Is that in this one or is that in Force?
It might be in Force and Destiny. I remember it's in one of these books. I just can't find it. Maybe it's in Force and Destiny.
Oh, I have that book right here. So
Yeah, I think it is because I'm flipping between like starfighters and capital ships, and it's definitely not a capital ship. It is like a 2-man ship. is dinky. Let me see if I can find it. I know I've seen it.
The fun part, I have to flip through the actual book now to find it. Ooh, I'm right here.
What if he just flies the slave too? I just love that the slave two's a thing, and it looks like, frankly, it looks a little like the horrible like safety minivan from
Mm-hmm.
Futurama when they get the new ship.
Yeah.
There's like this gray box.
There. That's not it.
Ooh, the Hawk 290. Is that what you said?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's in Force and Destiny. It's on page 263, which is very
Yeah.
similar to the ship Anakin had in Clone Wars.
Well, that's not the one I'm thinking of, but yeah.
No, that's the G9.
That's the
Rigger.
G9 Rigger light freighter. No, the
I actually think that one's a bit better.
yeah, the ship I'm thinking of is this guy right here.
I think the
Yeah.
G9 Rigger is actually pretty good. Everyone thinks it's a piece of junk. It has a special place to him because he knows that ship probably pretty well. A similar style to it.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Awesome. I like it.
Where? Let's see. Where would I put that?
There's the official ship character sheet that we also have to bring up, but
Well,
that's generally not something you have to worry about.
I don't have that one up, so.
I think we don't have to worry too much.
We don't have to set up the ship.
We'll
Like
just-
right now, and we're not going to get him. But overall, that is how you make a character in Edge of the Empire.
Yep.
It is very fun. You can do essentially whatever you want, and still have a very varied party on it. And say it's a fun system, and we all need to play again.
We do. Yeah, I like the character creation and upgrade mainly because you spend experience as you get it. It's not these hard points where you take jumps like
Mhm.
D&D or something like that, or no mechanical progression. Just you're a better person because Star
Yeah.
Trek.
Yeah.
But it also allows for easy you have to save up a little bit, but easier kind of multi-classing.
Mhm.
Because you can take a second class and vary things a bit. Which
Yeah.
I because it's about the experience and not this hard level system that
Yep.
D&D is. It's not you either be the best pilot you can be or be a really good pilot and also something else. As long as you keep playing and you get more experience and you spend the experience, increasing your piloting stuff or working down your pilot
Mhm.
skill tree, you can just keep getting better and better. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the skill trees can do a lot for you. So.
Oh yeah.
There's a
I know,
lot of different
As
stuff on there.
a Jedi, I started with one type of Jedi, and then realized there aren't a lot of I can't really upgrade my force powers too much in this. I have to expand all the way down to get one more point in my force powers. So then I multi-class to another type of Jedi that also gets force powers and more of the
Mhm.
The offensive.
more of
sort
the
of thing.
spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now this is a good balance for my character. I like this. So
Yeah, there's so much you can do with it, and you don't even really have to worry about optimizing or anything so much because you can just throw things that you like into it and it can work.
mm-hmm.
So, I think it's a good game. I think it's criminally underplayed.
I think it's criminally underplayed by our group.
It is because we're just all crazy busy as well. But I really enjoy doing this, and I think if everyone has the time, there's a lot of assets online if you can't afford to get the official Fantasy Flight stuff. please don't pirate it. But if you need something as an intro to your game, this is a good start.
Definitely don't pirate it. I'm poor.
Anyway, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Drunken Dice podcast. As Jim is emphasizing the drunken part of the
I'm
dice.
not drunk.
I said emphasizing.
I've just been, using the same PDF I've had for the entire time.
Anyone have any other thoughts on the game? Or anything else that we spoke about today before we sign off?
No, I don't think so.
Daiquiris are delicious. They're light and refreshing and beautiful.
Well, on that note, thank you for anyone who are tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.